forgotten that once we were brought here, we were robbed of our names, robbed of our language. We lost our religion, our culture, our God. And many of us, by the way we act, we even lost our mind.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to our show. I'm Brother Lance Shabazz. Brothers and sisters, I always encourage you to call a friend or call a neighbor and let them know the Lance Shabazz show is on right now. We're on www.lanceshabazz.com is the website. Our email address is lanceshabazzshow@aol.com. That's lanceshabazzshow@aol.com is the email address. Our telephone number here is area code 718-527-3603. That's area code 718-527-3603. And once again, we welcome you. Brothers and sisters, as promised, we hope to, this year, as we begin year 2, to have some more human interest stories. As you know, during the first year, my job was to inspire you, to encourage you, to enlighten you with the teachings of the Honorable Messenger Elijah Muhammad, a man who I believe is the messenger of God and God's last messenger, who was in our midst for 44 years, delivering the word from Almighty God, Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. My guest today, brothers and sisters, is a human interest story. Brother donated his kidney to his brother. And the book of John says, greater has no love than one who would lay down his life for his friend. And that's in the book of John. And my guest is Brother Kenneth X and Brother Jason X. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you doing today, my brothers?
Fine, sir. Praise be to Allah.
So let's get into it. Brother Kenneth.
Yes, sir.
You are a Muslim, follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us a little background about yourself?
Well, you're talking about as far as becoming a follower?
As far as becoming a follower, Muslim, as we lead up to the operation.
Okay, well, I first got Islam probably about at the age of 10 or 11 years old.
Yes, sir.
Grew up in some of the projects in Brooklyn. The Muslims had a lot of influence there. You probably have known Malachi.
Brother Malachi.
Malachi, his brother Saladin. They were strong in Islam, teaching Islam in the projects there.
Malachi Bell.
Yes.
Bell.
The three brothers.
Yes, sir.
They started teaching in Islam. They was going to the mosque. Started learning from them. Went to the mosque in '73. I was 13 years old. And when I went there, I said, well, this is what I'm going to do.
Yes, sir.
I went with a friend. I told him, I don't know what you're going to do. I said, but I'm going to this mosque, man.
Yes,
but
sir.
we're too young to join. So grew up, stopped eating pork, you know, the whole nine. And when I got older, after the nation, quote unquote, fell, 75 on, Mr. Farrakhan started to rebuild the nation. 79 when I started to hear about it, getting the Final Call newspaper. 1980 came to City College. From then on, it was history.
Yes, sir. And as we're going forth with this, when did you first start experiencing some sort of illness?
Well, with the kidney failure, I was working with the Transit Authority, and they give you tests as a train operator. They give you a test, you know, for your health.
Periodicals.
Yes, yeah, you may know about that. And they seen that I started to have a problem with the kidney. I think they came up with protein in the urine.
Yes.
So they seen that that was escalating, and they wanted to monitor it. So the next year, they said, well, you need to go see a doctor about that. So I went to see a doctor. That was around 2000. But actually, I started seeing the effects they didn't know, because I found out when I had kidney failure that I had lupus. But the symptoms started actually in 1990.
Yes, sir.
I had came down with a severe case of arthritis.
Yes, sir.
Very debilitating. And that went on for about 3 or 4 years. The arthritis went to remission, and then it came back up in the late 90s. Got a biopsy in 2000. Doctor diagnosed it as nephrotic syndrome. That means kidneys, you're having a problem with your kidneys.
Yes, sir.
3 years later, January 11th, kidneys just went into failure. I was taking medication between that time, 2000, 2003. But in 2003, I remember that day, January 11th, kidneys went into failure.
And your brothers, how many brothers you have?
I have 4 brothers.
Yes, sir.
4 younger brothers.
Yes, sir. And what was your what did you do when the kidneys collapsed?
Well, after the kidneys failed, I was going back and forth to the doctors, because I really didn't know, because it was gradual, but I had the swelling of the legs and the feet. So it was maybe 3 weeks after that. Well, I went to another doctor in that interim and got a second opinion. And doctor there, she said, well, you got to go to dialysis. I didn't really know what dialysis was, but I heard about it. Then when I seen my doctor, he told me that day, you have to go to the hospital to go dialysis. Went, I think it was either end of January, beginning of February. And he said, you got to go on dialysis. Went to the hospital, cut you up, and started the dialysis. I was on dialysis for like 2 years. I thought about a kidney transplant, but I was never really gung-ho about it. Brother Jason, when he came to the hospital, I just remember I was in South Shore Hospital. Brother came to the bed. He said, "Brother, I'm gonna give you my kidney." I said, "Yeah, that's Jason. Jason, you know." But when Jason tells you he's gonna do something, he's gonna do it.
Yes, sir.
I never thought, that things would transpire as it did 2 years later.
Anytime I think about what he did, I gotta hold back tears, because it was courageous. A man ain't supposed to cry, but sometimes I just think about it. He just gave part of his life to make mine better.
What would you do for your friend? You say that you would take a bullet for your friend. What if the bullet was moving really slow? He had something that was killing him real slow, and I had the ability to jump in the way of it before it killed him.
Downstate Hospital, in the kidney transplant department.
Is that right?
And how long was that after I had the kidney failure?
She was looking for a job at the time while your kidneys were failing. She got a job, and that's how I started to get the information how necessary a kidney transplant was and how easy it was to actually get tested and go and do. So she was looking for a job, she found a job, and that job happened to be in the avenue that my brother needed his help.
All praises due to Allah.
There's no such thing as coincidence.
Yes, sir.
So brother called, Brother Jason, I can't remember, maybe it was a year or so after that, the kidney failure. Jason said, "Brother, you gonna come on down, tell your brothers, whomever, come to give the blood, and to see if they're eligible or candidate for to be a donor." And they tested one of my brothers. He was on medication, so he couldn't be a donor. And the other brothers didn't make it there. But by the time they had tested Brother Jason's blood, they said, "We have a perfect match here."
Praise be to Allah.
What were they saying? The antigens or whatever?
Right, there's like 6 antigens that could be genetically connected to one another. They just beside being like an ABO match, they're antigen levels. And they said that based on our match, that we were closer than some family members.
Is that right?
Right, that we had two genetic markers that were actually the same. He grew up on one side of Brooklyn, I grew up on another side of Brooklyn, and we happened to be very closer than some family members in terms of genetic markers. So who would know? But that's the way it turned out.
Did you consult your wife or your brothers? You have brothers?
I have brothers, but they live all the way in California.
Okay.
Right.
Did you consult anyone before you made the decision? Or
No.
Yes, sir.
I'm one of those people who believe that you have sovereign rights over your own body.
Go ahead.
That if you love yourself, then no one should be able to tell you what you can and cannot do with this being your body.
Yes, sir.
And if you don't love yourself, and people that love you find that you're doing something of harm to this, your body, they should love you enough to tell you, hey, back up off of those drugs. Hey, stop smoking. Hey, cut down on that overeating. And they should be able to guide you into doing what you should be doing with your own body. But if you want to smoke, if you want to drink, if you want to party, you want to exercise, not enough, all of those things that'll make you unhealthy, you should have the right to do that as well.
Yes, sir. How did you come to meet Brother Kenneth?
Oh, we met in the class of one of the greatest classes there ever will be in the history of the world, and that's the FOI class.
Yes,
that's
sir.
the Fruit of Islam.
That's right.
That's a class that a lot of people in America, a lot of people don't know anything about, because they say those that know don't tell, and those that tell don't know. And it's not a secret society, but it's just a close-knit brotherhood of men who belong to Islam in North America. It's a training of men. It teaches you everything that you need to know about being a man here in America, and it prepares you for life in the city, life in the country, anything that you need to know to really be a man inside of that FOI class. It was there, and I met my brother. I met his physical brother, Brother Stephen, and he and I were roommates when I was in college. He was my roommate. He was working, I was working.
Which college was that, brother?
Oh, that was Long Island University, downtown
yeah.
Brooklyn
Yes,
Center,
sir.
right? And we were going to school. One of the things I wanted to say, Brother Lance, is I'm glad that you're doing a human interest story. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of times people get the wrong impression of black men in general. Muslims in particular, but black men in general. They think that we don't have hearts.
That's right.
And that's why it gives them the ability to at least go after us, if not murder us with impunity, is because they look at us as though we don't have a heart. They look at us as though we're animals. And we really need to tell our story that we are thinking, caring human beings. We're individuals, and we're not monolithic. We don't all think the same.
That's right.
But we are human beings, first of all. And I think that even if you see that brother that is in the gutter and he's got a needle sticking out of his arm, look at him as though he's a human being first. Don't look at him as though he's a threat or somebody that's out to take what you have. Look at him as though he's a human, and you will start to see the humanity in yourself.
That's very true.
Because they kill us, man, and we kill ourselves. And unfortunately, I think that, you know, we have the ability to turn that around, doing exactly what you're doing. I thank you for this opportunity, though, Brother Lance, honestly, to let us, because nobody's going to run out and we're not going to go and tell our story out in the street. Oh, look at us. We lived our lives. This is the life that we were given. This is what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught that we were going to be. We were going to be respectable black men that once was drug addicts and once was drug dealers and once was, you know, penny ante criminals. All of that. He said that we were going to lift ourselves up and we were going to be the best in society. And that class, that FOI class, is what trained us to do that.
I know, brother. I tell you, I'm not so much a big fan of rap music, but your record that you recorded under MCJX, Stand Up for Something, or You
Yes,
Fall
sir.
for Anything, is one of my favorites,
Thank you, brother.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
I tell you, I
Black
know
like
that it was
me.
definitely inspired by the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
It's inspired by, again, that FOI class. And you know, I never like to say anything about this story without mentioning our brother, our minister, who we knew at that time, we still know, Brother Minister Abdul Kareem Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
The way that he inspired us during that time was, even though we were not brothers from the same mother, you know how we were taught. You know that we were taught as though we were close, like family. I mean,
Yes.
really in love with one another. So acts like this, you know, like I said, I pray I'm not talking out of turn, but inside of that class, you know, we used to stand brothers up all the time. In and amongst ourselves, we would be able to call on a brother. Brother, what have you been doing lately?
That's right.
Brothers, you know, I just rescued 2 people out of a burning building. And we would stand up, all praises due to Allah. And it would be nothing amongst ourselves.
That's right.
But the world would never, the outside world would never know the miraculous and sometimes superhuman things that we would do, and it would be like everyday occurrences to us.
That's right.
It's not just good enough to be just a good father and a productive member of the community. It was like we had to come in there with some superhuman things that we did, you know, and that would be like our testament among ourselves. We would go, all praises due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Minister Farrakhan, and we keep it moving. But the idea is the same, that we have a class there, and the class is still going on. Anybody ever want to go and find throughout the country Muhammad Mosque and go in there and find out what the FOI is doing, what the class is doing. But that man, Minister Abdul Kareem Muhammad, the love that he put into us for ourselves, our family, our community, that love is so overwhelming that it touches us, man.
That name, Kareem, that Minister Farrakhan gave him in '83, means one who is noble, one who is generous, and there was no one that I knew. You know, my father's name was Kareem also.
Yes, sir.
That was his Islamic name, but I didn't know anyone else who was just as noble and generous, brother. I worked, as you know, the tape departments for Number 7, and the money that came in, how he would just ask if anybody in the building, you know, were out of home, you know, was without.
Right, they didn't pay their rent for that month.
He would have your brother Stephen,
yes,
give him the money.
That's
and
right.
This wasn't just like, as you said, something that we did once or twice. This was a regular occurrence. We knew that if everybody did a little, no one had to do a lot, and that's how we did.
It's the truth. I mean, I know we're on, you know, we're on TV and all of that, man. That's why I say I pray I'm not talking out of turn, because it's something that if you're humble and you know who you are, nobody else has to define you.
No.
But I think in this day and time, it's necessary for us to start telling our story more, because people don't even think that we're human beings. They look at Muslims as though we're something of a human oddity, you know, when it's our choice in the way that we want to follow our God.
That's right. You know, brother, before we went on the air, you was telling me you had took a course at LIU in this production studio, and I just think that I would encourage anyone who's watching this program, and especially if you're a Muslim, tell your story. So many people, as you said, have misconceptions of Muslims. We used to say in the mosque that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was misrepresented, and it's because we have to stand up now and tell our story. The story doesn't have to always come from one head. It can come from the whole body, and if all of us said we could flood these cables, channels with the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and also human interest, as you said, you have to see us as human beings first. And the best way to do that is to come before the airways and tell our story. So leading back up to the operation, how did you feel that day? The operation took place March 28th, 2005.
Right. 2005. Brother Kenneth and his wife came to my house in the minivan and came and picked me up. I had my gym bag with my clothes in it, you know, my robe and my pajamas in it. And we all got in the car together and we drove out to SUNY Downstate. And, you know, a little butterfly, a little trepidation, but when you do something from the heart, you do something. I didn't care whether or not it was going to be a success or not, if I lived or died. I was just concerned of my brother. And I guess even when like a woman lays down to give birth, she's not really concerned about the pain or things of that nature. She wants to give birth. And once the baby is born, the pain that she went through is nominal. You ask her, well, was it painful? She said, no. The operation itself, they put you to sleep like any other operation. So if you're asleep, you don't know all of the cutting and the sawing and the things that they do. You don't know that. But when you wake up, you start to feel the pain. The particular surgery that they do at SUNY Downstate is a laparoscopic surgery. So it's minimally invasive. They use cameras. They put cameras inside of your abdomen, and they use small instruments where they, for lack of a better term, dislodge the kidney that's in you. And then they have a person on the team with a small hand that they make a small incision above your below your navel, and the person on the team with the small hand reaches in, gets the for lack of a better term, disconnected kidney.
Right.
They wash it up, clean it up, and at the time that my surgery was going on, Brother Kenneth's surgery was going on to prepare him to receive the kidney. So they spaced the operation in such a way that as soon as mine is disconnected, brother is ready to receive it. They wash it up, they do some things, and they put it, instead of, like, they removed the kidney from my back area, and they put it in his front area. So he carries my kidney like right over here, yes, and now it's his kidney. So I
trying to take good care of
my kidney.
It's his now.
Yes, sir.
But on all that, I would like to also thank Dr. Dale Distant,
right,
who did Brother Jason's operation, the removal of his kidney, and my doctor, Nabil Samrani. Right. Some excellent doctors that have done hundreds of transplants there, along with the staff and other nurses and workers. But I must say it's a courageous thing what brother did, because it's a lot of pain involved with that. You know, it's from the beginning, even just like you was asking him, his wife had said, you know, she told me, she said, if it's anybody else, I would have told no. I would have told him no. I don't, you know, or someone else. She said, I would have told him no. She said, but for you, you know, you're deserving of it. And then the operation, you know, at first I thought they was going to put the kidney in my back. Doc said, no. I said, well, okay, you're going to take the other kidneys out? They said, no, we're not going to take the other kidneys. So, you know, I didn't know much about it. And then, again, I don't think people really know much about kidney transplant. It's like I said, it's serious, but it's not that severe. Because that's why I was reluctant to ask any of my family members for a kidney, because it's personable, and I thought of myself, would I ever, you know, donate organ or anything like that to someone? I might have been somewhat reluctant, but when I learned more about it, like when Brother Jason said, brother, go on down, because first you just go there and they'll explain to you the procedure. And Brother Jason, since he had the operation, has been going to meetings faithfully. What is it, every month?
Every other month. I go and I speak to people who are in the same position as I was, not knowing much about the operation and what it entails. And I try to give them my personal, you know, my personal story about how it was to donate. And it's every other month at SUNY Downstate. And I encourage people to at least learn as much as possible about anything that you intend to do. The internet is a wonderful tool nowadays that we can go on to learn. You know, one of the things that we were taught as we were growing up in the mosque, growing up in the nation, is to learn all things.
That's right.
And hold fast to that which is truth.
That's right.
Learn as much as you can about whatever. And it doesn't make you something that is apart from society to just have knowledge. You know, they say in the scripture, my people are killed for their lack of knowledge. So the more knowledge that you do have about any subject that you're going to embark on, the better off you are. So I go back every other month and I speak to, sometimes they have 15, 20 people around a table, and I give them my personal experience. And this past Thursday night, they really honored me, brother, for the full year that I had been going to those events.
Yes, sir.
They brought people back who also donated their kidney, but they said that they were inspired by my story to actually go through with it. And they, brother, they floored me with their, you know, I never knew how much just my simple words had touched them, to the point where they had actually done the same thing for their family, for their loved ones, that I did for my beloved brother here, you know. And so we don't know how our words do help, you know, our words of encouragement.
Yeah. How is the after effect? How are you today?
Well, today it was a progress. So it's been about over a year and a half now. But when you first come out, like I say, it's a serious thing, because he had to sit up for about a month. You know, not to work. Of course, he wanted to go to work sooner, drive and everything. But when the recipient gets out, you know, they're a little longer, because they got to deal with things from infections to, you know, rejection. For the first month or so, you take a lot of medications, 10, 12 different medications. you know, you're going through the pains, the healing, and things like that. But after a while, you could practically get back to your normal self. When you're on dialysis, you have a restricted diet. You can't drink as much fluids as you can. When you're on dialysis, some people don't even urinate. You know, I was blessed to be able to urinate, just a little. But then, you know, you go through the healing, then now I'm down to 2 different medications, well, 3 actually. It used to be 2 twice a day. And I mean, you have, I come to think, when I was going through my failure and the transplant and so on, I was inspired by one story in the Final Call newspaper by Minister Sharice's wife. Well, I don't mean to put it out there like that. So,
Yes, sir.
but sister, she had kidney failure. She wrote about it in the Final Call. And I was like, okay, I'm not the only one going through this thing here. And, you know, she told her story, and I was inspired by that. But to get back to the point, you know, you go through your little exercise and things, and, you know, my kidney failure wasn't due to, like most people, they have it because of high blood pressure or the diabetes.
Right.
Mine came from the lupus. So after lupus finished, well, since 1990, the lupus has been attacking my body. But after the kidney failure, it seems it just goes into remission. It just goes away. So I haven't really been suffering any other symptoms besides, you know, maybe the medication bloats you up a little. Little laziness, practically don't have.
Well,
that's not back at work.
Brother, if there's any telephone numbers or address that you would like to leave in case someone may have questions?
But they can always email me at Heril, H-E-R-I-L 3 at earthlink.net. Once again, that's Heril, H-E-R-I-L, the number 3 at earthlink.net. And they can always email me and I get right back to you. You know, with any questions or anything, you know, SUNYdownstate.edu. And another good resource is NIODN, which is New York Organ Donors Network. And that's something that I think I'm probably going to start working a lot closer with them, because even those of us who care, those people that, there's just certain segment of the population that care, you can fill out the organ donors card.
Yes,
and,
sir.
you know, by God's accidents of life and death, if you pass away, some of your organs could be harvested and may be able to help other people,
Yes,
you know,
sir.
throughout time.
Brother Kenneth, you have an address?
No, I think Brother Jason gave it all, but I would just like to give thanks and praise to Almighty God Allah. Came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad,
Yes,
the Honorable
sir.
Elijah Muhammad, Minister Louis Farrakhan, many ministers that I have been under. Because it wasn't for them, none of us sitting here, we would have probably never met or seen each other.
That's very true.
And to have this story to tell. All praise
That's
due
very
to
true.
Allah.
All praise
I
to
thank you all for coming in. I thank you very much, Brother Kenneth X. Kelly and Brother Jason X. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum
Walaikum
salam.
salam.
Thank you.